This is 9 News with Mark Burrows.
Good morning. It was supposed to be the best day of their lives. Instead, one young couple from the New South Wales Hunter Valley will forever remember their wedding day with unimaginable tragedy. 10 people are dead after this bus, hired to transport wedding guests to their accommodation, rolled at a roundabout at Greta, north of Newcastle. 21 more are injured with serious and severe injuries. Most are at John Hunter Hospital. Others have been transported to Sydney's Royal North Shore and RPA. The driver, a 58-year-old local man, has been arrested and is expected to be charged within the next few hours. New South Wales Premier Chris Minns is on his way to the scene, and the Prime Minister has just spoken about the tragedy, echoing what many of us are thinking this morning.
All of us know the joy of going to a wedding, a chance to celebrate dear friends and family. They are some of the happiest times that you can have. For a joyous day like that in a beautiful place to end with such terrible loss of life and injury is so cruel and so sad and so unfair. People hire a bus for weddings in order to keep their guests safe, and that just adds to the unimaginable nature of this tragedy. All Australians' thoughts go out to the family, friends and loved ones of those we've lost in such horrific circumstances.
This tragedy are still unfolding. We do have reporters across the key locations to bring you the latest information. Let's take you live first to Damien Ryan, who's at the scene of the crash in Greta on the outskirts of the Hunter Valley. Damien, you've just been to the actual crash site. What can you tell us?
Well, Mark, yes, the police a short time ago accompanied the media to the crash site, and we did see in all its horror this tragedy being played out. There were emergency services teams still at the scene, but what you could clearly see was the bus appeared relatively intact, but it was on its side, of course. It was approaching the third exit of the roundabout when for some reason it rolled, but it rolled into a guardrail, and that's where the damage was done. The bus skidded along that guardrail. Anyone sitting on the passenger side would have taken the full impact of this accident, and clearly that's where we've got 10 people dead and many, many injured. You said the driver, the 58-year-old driver, well, he was initially taken to hospital for mandatory testing. He then was arrested and taken to Cessnock Police. This was early on. Police must have been very confident that something had gone horribly wrong in this bus, and the driver appears to be to blame. So he is at the moment in Cessnock Police Station in the cells. He will be charged very shortly if he hasn't been charged already, and I'm expecting he will be charged with 10 counts of dangerous driving, occasioning death, and many other backup charges as well. As the bus still has to be righted, so this scene will be like this for many, many hours. And of course, there are fears, Mark, that there may people still be trapped under that bus. They're not so sure. They will soon find out. This tragedy has certainly caused shockwaves everywhere around here. Early this morning, we saw some locals arrive with some flowers, and this is what they had to say about this terrible tragedy in their backyard.
Heard all the commotion last night, and we thought we'd just do what we can.
Sent shockwave through the community.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, really sad. We've only been here for a couple of years, so when we heard about it this morning, it was like, oh my God, it's just way too close to home.
Yeah, and a wedding.
Yeah, and a wedding.
Yeah.
Like one of the happiest days of your lives and turns into one of the most tragic days of your lives.
So the Premier is on his way. We've heard from the Prime Minister. Yes, the Premier will be here shortly to attend the scene, just to talk to the local officers, the first responders who had to deal with this situation late last night. And as I said, the crime scene, the crash scene, it is a crime scene. It will remain very much a crime scene for much of the day. Mark?
Damien, OK, thank you for that. Well, let's go live now to Hayley Francis at the John Hunter Hospital in Newcastle. Hayley, doctors there just haven't stopped.
That's right, Mark. It was absolutely heaving here this morning. As you mentioned, there were 11 people initially this morning believed to be injured, along with those 10 people who lost their lives, but that number has now risen to 21. The good news is the majority of those people are in a stable condition, but one person is still fighting for their life here at John Hunter Hospital. You've got to remember that these wedding guests were on board that bus. They picked the safest option to get back to their accommodation, and that is when this tragedy has unfolded. We've spoken with some wedding guests here early this morning. They were still trying to wrap their head around the horror. Take a listen.
It was a nice day, pretty good wedding, fairy tale stuff, and then, yeah, we went to go get drunk and we just got the news that there's been a crash and we all started panicking.
Now, there have been more and more people coming here to John Hunter Hospital searching for their loved ones, their friends. It is difficult given there are 21 people who have been injured here, so finding those people along the 4 hospitals is proving to be a very anxious time for so many. But as I said, 20 of those people are in a stable condition. One of those people is fighting for their life. Mark?
Well, Hayley Francis in Newcastle for us. Thank you. Let's go to Lara Vella now, who's been at the wedding venue all morning. Lara, you've actually spoken to operators of the venue who are understandably also very much in shock.
They certainly are, Mark. Good morning to you. This is almost too difficult to comprehend, this tragedy, isn't it? These operators of this wedding venue, the Wandin Valley Estate, are in the professional business of bringing joy to so many young couples, like so many of the tourism businesses that are the real backbone here of the Hunter Valley in New South Wales. I'm sure there are many people watching right now that have either attended a milestone event at a reception venue here or a winery here, or perhaps themselves have even gotten married. And the operators of this particular venue, Mark, they told me this morning that they were so looking forward to welcoming this couple on their first official day as a married couple. But this morning, that family, their friends and this entire community are now united in their grief. And so as a result, earlier this morning, Mark, the operators of the Wandin Valley Estate, they issued a statement to me. I'll read it to you now. It says, "We are deeply saddened to hear of the bus crash overnight that has claimed the lives of some of our guests. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the family and friends of the victims, and we are supporting them in any way we can. At this time, we are providing support to those guests who need our help, and we wish to maintain their privacy and won't be making any further statements at this time." Throughout the morning, Mark, we have seen several cars leaving the venue, including the vintage Volkswagen Beetle that we do understand the bride's father has been spending years restoring that vehicle to mark this very special occasion for his daughter. But now, of course, that family has been rocked by this unthinkable tragedy. As for the venue itself, Mark, the operators have told me they will be closing it today in respect of the family.
OK, Lara, thank you. And we will keep you updated as more details about this tragedy come to light. After the break, an AFL Premiership hero arrested just hours after helping lead his club to victory. Crunch time for the government as the Greens and Labor remain in a stalemate over a $10 billion housing promise. And from politicians to comedians and volunteers, we reveal some of the Australians who made up this year's King's Birthday Honours list.